Welcome to another episode of Relatively Famous, the podcast where I, Chip White, interview relatives of famous people. In today's episode, I'm super excited because I have a rock and roll legend's sister, Miss Linda Gail Lewis, who is the sister of Jerry Lee Lewis. And it's going to be super fun because I got a cool little story that I'll share with her, and I'm so excited to hear about her story in her life. And before then, I want to thank our sponsor, visitmyrtlebeach.com. And so if you're looking for the perfect vacation, family vacation, golf vacation, beach vacation, be sure to go to visitmyrtlebeach.com to plan your vacation. That's visitmyrtlebeach.com.
Relatively Famous podcast with Chip White.
Linda Gail Lewis, welcome to Relatively Famous.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you today.
Yep. So I was super excited when I was able to get in contact with you. I had a friend actually see you perform at Gruene Hall, and he gave me your number. And then Philip, our producer, knows your son-in-law. So it was great that it worked out. And I'm excited to hear about who Linda Gail Lewis is.
I'm looking forward to hearing about you as well.
So, okay, I'm a big fan of your brothers, and then we'll get about to you. The only time I ever got to see your brother record, live, I was working at a bartender at Cowboys Nightlife in North Myrtle Beach in the 80s. And every summer we had a big act every week, and Jerry Lee Lewis was coming. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to watch this show. So I picked what I assumed was the worst bar in the whole club. It was kind of like right behind where he would sit at the stage, so that I could watch the show, figuring it wouldn't be that busy. He starts playing, man. My bar is slammed the whole time. And I literally at one point just stopped and said, everybody just stop. And I stood up on my cooler. I watched him just rock for about 3 minutes, if that long, and jump back down and started working. The end of the night, I said to all the other bartenders, oh my God, I can't believe how busy it was. I couldn't see the show. And they were all, dude, we were so slow. I'm like, I don't know what it was, but my bar was so busy. I couldn't get to enjoy the one person I really wanted to see, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. So,
well, there's some wonderful stuff out there on YouTube you can see.
I know. I'd seen tons of films and stuff, but to see him live, I really was super excited because, man, he was just crushing it, and I was so busy I couldn't enjoy it.
Well, that was a shame.
Yeah. Tell me, okay, let me ask you this. What is the one song in all the world that when you hear it, it brings back a specific memory that no matter where you are, car, whatever, this song pops on, and for you, it's an instant recall of where you were at that moment?
Well, I would have to say a whole lot of shaking going on by my brother, of course. It was so wonderful when that song came out because it was such a big hit, and it changed our lives because Jerry was able to have the resources to rescue us from the old sharecropper shack in Black River, Louisiana. So I remember those days so well, and of course they're wonderful memories, especially the leaving Black River part was wonderful.
Now you're a performer also, correct? You play and sing.
I am.
Tell me about life as a performer for Linda Gail. What's your favorite kind of music to play? What's been the most exciting place you've played?
Well, I played, it's hard to choose. I played a lot of exciting places. And I really enjoy rock and roll music, 50s rock and roll music. And I do a lot of that. And I also really enjoy country music. So I do a lot of country music. I do a little bit of blues music. So basically, it's a roots music show, and we do a little bit of everything. And I love what I do. I feel like at the age of 77, to have a career and be able to perform is a blessing.
Wow, you look amazing for 77 years old. Must be the rock and roll lifestyle.
Well, the iPhones are very forgiving. I love them.
Now, do you write songs also?
I do. I do write songs. On my last album, I had to write 4 songs to get the album deal. And then the other thing that happened was I ended up writing another song. So then I ended up with 5 songs on Rockabilly Queen on Cleopatra Records. That's my label, Cleopatra. So I ended up with 5 songs that I wrote on that album.
Now, over the years growing up, was music something in the family? I mean, there's Jerry Lee, there's Jimmy Swaggart. I know he's got some music background, although he was more of a preacher. But what was the music life in the family, in the Lewis family growing up?
Well, yeah, and Mickey Gilley, of course, had a huge career in pop and country music. And I grew up in our house with my brother playing the piano all the time, playing the piano and singing. And so I grew up with his music as a small child. And then, of course, as a teenager, I ended up having the opportunity to travel with him and be on the road with him for 15 years.
Okay, so what were you doing on the road with? I'll be up front. I don't do a lot of research on my guests because I like to have a conversation. I like to discover things as we're talking. I didn't know you were on the road for 15 years with them. What was that like?
Well, it was absolutely wonderful. And I started out just as, we call it like a call-up singer. But then when I married Kenny Lovelace, that was a pretty early on. I was probably around 20 at that time. It's hard for me to remember dates. But Kenny taught me how to sing backing vocals. So I ended up singing a lot of backing vocals with my brother and Kenny. And then, of course, I recorded a lot with my brother. We did Seasons of My Heart on some record way back in the day when I was about 13, I guess. And then, of course, when my brother did his country albums, we did some duets together. And one of those duets was a top country hit called Don't Let Me Cross Over. And then our album, Jerry Lee and Linda Gail Together, was very high up in the country charts and very successful. So, I had a wonderful career, but I took off for quite a few years to be at home with my children. And then when I went back on the road, there was an impossible situation for me to travel with my brother. So I ended up starting my solo career. And many people in the music business told me, you're too old to start a solo career. And, you're overweight. Well, I was raised by my mama and daddy and my brother. And my sister, Frankie Jean, was always a big influence in my life. And I just never really thought anything like that would be impossible, no matter what anybody said to me. I just went right on. I carried right on. And I have a career. I've had one for quite a few years now, my solo career. So I've had 2 different lives. And then it was wonderful in 2008 when they invited me to come and open for my brother in Europe. So I toured with my brother in Europe for about 3 years, and I did some shows here in America with him as well. And of course, we had both gotten a bit older, but we didn't get to see each other so much because we both had our lives and our careers. So it was wonderful when I was on the road with him, because then I could have time with him and spend time with him. And that was absolutely great. And of course, he remarried. He married my sister-in-law, Judith, and they have a wonderful marriage. He was happy with her, and I'm happy with my husband. We've been together 33 years. So, yeah, everything changed. It just developed as the years went by.
Now, do you and your brother, when you get together, reminisce about stuff? Because my sister and I we'll go back to my hometown, our hometown, and we'll ride around, we'll reminisce. And I was just talking to her about our father passing 3 years ago. And so when you guys are together, do you talk music or do you talk memories? What's it like when you guys are together?
Well, my brother passed away along about the time, I guess, that your dad did. It's been about 2 years now. But before that, anytime that we were together, with the exception of my sister-in-law, Judith, all of his significant others and wives would just hate us because we had so much to reminisce about. We were just having a nonstop conversation. We really didn't want to talk to anybody else except each other. And right before he passed away, we had a wonderful visit like that, where we talked about what it was like growing up in Louisiana and what it was like on the road back in the early days, all the crazy stuff we did, going to Hernando's Hideaway at 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was just a wonderful visit that we had, that last visit with him. So be sure that you cherish every moment you have with your sister, because we never know, Chip.
That's true, and I do. And forgive me, because on Facebook, Jerry Lee Lewis is very much alive. I'm so someone just posted that I had forgotten that he had passed away. So I apologize.
That's my sister-in-law. That is my sister-in-law Judith posting on my brother's website.
Yeah.
It can be confusing.
It was, because I was thinking, because in my mind I was thinking, he's still, because in my mind I kept, because of social media, I felt like he was still here, and I apologize for that, because I knew he'd passed away.
Oh no, darling, it's understandable. I totally understand.
Again,
and it's not a problem at all.
So my friend saw you at Gruene Hall, which, for those who don't know it, who aren't Texans, to play Gruene Hall is historical. What is that? One of your favorite places to play, or what's been your favorite place to play?
I love playing Gruene Hall, and I love Samstown Point here in South Austin. I play there every Tuesday night, but I also play Gruene Hall occasionally. And when I do, there's a lot of tourists in town that will show up at Gruene Hall. So you see people from Europe, you see a lot of people from up north. And I meet a lot of people I hadn't met before. And then, of course, I have my regular following that's there. It's so much fun. All of my gigs are a lot of play at Riley's in New Braunfels. About every couple of months, I have a gig there. I have some wonderful local gigs, and I really enjoy them.
Well, you work more than most touring musicians. That's phenomenal. Congratulations on that.
Well, I work as much as I can because I do love it. I sometimes feel guilty that I'm being paid to do something that I love so much.
Oh, don't feel guilty. I love getting paid for doing a podcast. I wish they'd pay me more. So don't feel guilty for getting paid for something you love, because it's what it's all about.
Well, that's only in that moment. It's only in that moment when I've just finished that gig and everybody's had a great time, and I'm just so happy in that moment. But that moment passes quickly, because then I realize I have a lot of bills.
Yes. Now your brother has been known worldwide. My sister's fairly known worldwide, more so in America. What's been some of the opportunities that have come about being with Jerry? I've met some amazing people because of my sister. I've invited some amazing parties and different things. What was it like? Because Jerry's career lasted forever. So what's been this most amazing opportunities and people you've got to meet because you're Jerry Lee Lewis's sister?
Well, I've met so many famous people. Going from Elvis to Janis Joplin to John Lennon. So many famous people because of my brother. But the other thing, the main thing that I'm thankful for is that when I was 40 years old and needed to start my solo career because I could no longer tour with my brother, I was able to do that because of my brother's fans and because of people that knew him. If my name had been Linda Gail Smith, starting a solo career at the age of 40 in roots music, playing and singing old music, I wouldn't have had anybody there. That wouldn't have been a success at all.
Okay, so you met Elvis, you met John Lennon. What were some of those experiences like? Because like I said, I've met a lot of people. Gene Kelly, when I met him, I was super ecstatic. I loved musicals back in the day, and I loved watching him dance.
Me too. How wonderful that you met him.
And and it was at a party, so I got to actually chat with him. has there been someone where you actually kind of like, it wasn't like a, hey, nice to meet you, and you kind of spent some time with him and it kind of changed your view or really, really resonated with you?
Well, you know, meeting Tom Jones was wonderful back when I was a teenager, and he was, I guess, a teenager too, or pretty close to a teenager. He used to come to my brother's gigs in Vegas and stuff, and I'd be there. And getting to know him was absolutely wonderful. He is such a sweet and nice man. I just love him. And I went to see him. My husband and I were living in Wales in the United Kingdom, and Tom played at Cardiff Castle because, you know, he's from Wales. And that was the wildest show I have ever seen him do. And it was so much fun. So I treasure my friendship with Tom, even though, you know, we're not close friends. I don't talk to him once a week or anything. Yeah. But when he has a gig and I'm able to go there, it's just great to reminisce about us being backstage at my brother's gigs and stuff like that. It's wonderful.
Yeah, when my mother passed away in 1980, and right before she passed away, we used to sit and watch the Tom Jones show as together. That was kind of our time together, and I'm a fan of his. He was playing a gig in Columbia, South Carolina, and Cecil Corbett, who was a promoter, our friend, got my mom tickets, and she got to go backstage and take a picture with him. And I got to meet him.
Nice.
Yeah, and I got to meet him in Los Angeles at the House of Blues. I got to be friends with his PR person, so I took that photo with me and showed it to him. And he was talking. He was just so nice, and he actually lived down the street from my sister at one point. He really is a super nice guy, and what a voice!
Isn't he nice? He is so nice.
And just like I said, his voice just amazing. Even today, his voice is crazy.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, he's a great singer.
So you've traveled, you've lived around, you said you took time off to be a mom. What's your life like as a mom? Tell me a little something about Linda Gail that most people don't know.
Oh, well, you know, probably most people know how much I love my kids, but you know, my kids are all grown now. So, and I don't really know my grandchildren very well because I was traveling so much when they were born and growing up. Of course, I've met them and seen them, but I've never really had like a really close relationship with them like most grandmothers would have because I'm always on the road. I'm always traveling. But I have a great relationship with my kids. I'm very blessed in that way.
Yeah. Well, take that time with your grandkids. I had my niece and my nephew both on the podcast at different times. And, you know, it's because of age and traveling different parts of life and life stories. That was probably the longest conversation I ever had. My niece was when she was on the show, you know.
You're probably pretty busy.
Yeah, we've both been busy. And so, you know, call your grandkids and take 30 minutes and have a conversation with them. It changes your perspective. It changes their perspective. So.
Yeah, and it's all also has to do with the part of the country they live in. My grandson lives in Colorado. He's in Denver. And my granddaughter is in Las Vegas now. So it's so far away.
It is. What do you see musically for you moving forward? Are you going to continue to write new songs, a different genre? What can we expect?
I really enjoy writing. I enjoy writing. I was a songwriter way back when I was a teenager, and my brother did some of my songs. And I love writing. I don't write a lot because, you know, you have to be in the right frame of mind to be able to sit down and write a song. I had to get in the right frame of mind when I did my album, Rockabilly Queen, because it was part of the deal. I had to have the 4 songs. It was a challenge, but I got it done. And then I was on a roll. And of course, I had this dream about my brother. He had passed away, and it had only been a few months. And I woke up one morning and I thought about going to see him because I was only half awake. And then I realized, of course, that was impossible. And I remembered that he had passed away. And so this song just came to me. I always say that God gave me that song. And it's called I Knew That You Were Leaving. And I wrote that song, and I'm more proud of that song than any song I've ever written. And it's on my album, Rockabilly Queen. And I'm still promoting my album. It's been out about 3 months, but I don't care. I'm going to keep promoting it.
Oh, we're going to talk. We're going to talk about it right now. First of all, I love rockabilly music. Is it a rockabilly themed album, or is that just the name of it?
No, I mean, it really rocks, and it's real rockabilly. It
Um,
really is. I'm so proud of it because the songs that my son-in-law Danny, who produced it, the songs that he chose and the songs that my record company owner Brian Pereira chose, they chose wonderful songs for me. And it sometimes I would listen to one of those songs and think, "Oh wow, can I do that?" But it turned out great, and I love every song on that album. The songs that they picked are just great, and I'm proud of the songs that I wrote. And but the song is mostly rockabilly. It really rocks. It only has two slow songs on it. And that's "I Knew That You Were Leaving," which has a wonderful video with it that Cleopatra had put together for me.
okay, so the
And
video
that's
is
on
available
YouTube
on
as well.
YouTube.
It is. And the song is "I Knew That You Were Leaving." Cleopatra Records that has the video up on theirs. But I think that video is really easy to find, even just with my name. And it's a really good video. It shows a lot of photos from my whole life.
Now, can you get the music on Spotify or Amazon, or is it just
Absolutely.
on?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. It's on Spotify. And, we're still selling the album. We have vinyl and we have CDs. I did a little thing for my Facebook page, and I said, "Rockabilly Queen, available on vinyl and CD."
Vinyl's coming back, man. I had a great vinyl collection I sold not long ago because I've been moving so much. But I love listening to records. The process of putting it on and letting it play. Problem with digital is if you're with a group of people and they won't let a song finish, you're like, "Oh, check this song out. Check this song out." And it's like an album, man. You put it on and you listen to it and you read the liner notes. And so I'm gonna have to look for the album.
It's different. It's very, very different. I have a good friend of mine, Katie Cannell, got me a beautiful little thing that it's a little portable record player, I guess you call it. And it's wonderful to take a real record out of the sleeve and put it on and listen to it.
What does the future hold for Linda Gail other than gigging?
Well, I mean, as long as the Lord blesses me with opportunities, and as long as I have my health that I can go out on the road and play, I will continue to do that. And also, I will, of course, I'm sure we'll do another album. Cleopatra has done 3 albums with me, and I just love Cleopatra. They've been so good to me. So I've had 3 albums with them. I did a tribute album to my brother, and then of course Rockabilly Queen, and then there's another album, an older album, from some songs I did back in my 20s and my early years, and I'm proud of that album too because I have a Chris Christopherson song on there that Chris gave me to do, and I'm really proud of that song. My Heart Was the Last One to Know is the name of that song. So there's something special about each album, and of course I was working on an album with my cousin Mickey Gilley, and he passed away before we could finish the album. So I had 5 songs that were done, and my record company is so nice. They knew how much it meant to me to have something of my cousin out, and so they took those 5 songs and put them on the Tribute to Jerry Lee Lewis album. But you can only get it on CD because with the 5 extra songs, it's too many songs to be on vinyl. So
Right.
we have the album, 12 of the songs on vinyl, but then we have CDs with mine and Mickey's stuff on the end of it. So there's a lot going on, and I'm just going to say and believe today and have faith that there will be another album, and maybe it won't be too long from now.
So now, did
But I
you
want
get
to finish promoting this one first.
Yeah. Well, we'll push it for sure. Also, did you ever tour with Mickey, or did you ever play Gillies with Mickey?
My brother and myself and his band, when I was on the road with my brother, we were at Gillies a couple of times. But I was close to Mickey in a kind of a different kind of way. Mickey was the one that would come and sit with me when my mama was in the hospital or when somebody had passed away. He was always there. Mickey was a really thoughtful and kind human being, and I just absolutely loved him so much. I really miss him. And of course, I love my cousin Jimmy Swaggart too, but we move in different circles.
Yeah.
He probably, I know he loves me, but I'm sure he didn't approve of my lifestyle.
Well, hey, you can't point fingers. The what was it like for as a
You
kid?
can't please everybody, Chip.
Yeah, absolutely. As children, you got Mickey, Jimmy, Jerry, and Linda Gail. Were you guys out fishing, or what was life in as children for y'all?
My fondest memories is from the church, the little church that we all went to. Mickey's mama, my Aunt Irene, and Jimmy Lee's mama, my Aunt Minnie Bell, and his dad, he was actually my cousin on both sides of the family because my Aunt Minnie Bell married my daddy's nephew, my uncle's son, because my Aunt Ada was his grandmother. It was very complicated. But anyway, my Aunt Ada, my Aunt Irene, my Aunt Minnie Bell, and my mama were in this small church, very, very spiritual women, wonderful Christian women. And then you had those three guys, maybe there at the same time, but a lot of times there'd be at least two of them there. And you would hear the most wonderful gospel music in the world.
Well, it's amazing to have three plus come from one family to make it all in different genres, right? I mean, that's a great
And that's it.
DNA.
Yes, darling. When you think about it, that little town, Ferriday, Louisiana, it had those three guys from the same family. Jimmy is, of course, my double cousin. Mickey was my first cousin. And then, of course, Jerry, my brother. But those three guys, all three of them really, really famous from a little town of around 5,000 people, a little dumpy town in Louisiana. How in the world did that happen?
That's why. So when you pull into town, whose name's on the welcome home sign? Whose name is there? Jerry, Mickey, or Jimmy, or?
They're all there. And then we had Howard K. Smith, the guy on TV that did the news and stuff. He was from Fariday. His name is there, Howard K. Smith. And then Mrs. U.B. Evans, world famous horticulturist. And then there's a lady's name on there, and I can't remember her name, but she was married to one of the big Hollywood producers, and I can't remember her name. That's terrible that I can't. But my name is there. My sister got them to add my name.
There you go. My hometown says North Myrtle Beach, hometown of Vanna White. And there's a little piece of tape at the bottom I wrote, and her brother Chip. No, I'm kidding. Did not yet.
Well, my sister made them add my name. But there's one more. There's a blues player that's on there too, and I can't remember his name either. But there's a lot of people from that little town. It's so crazy. And then of course you got three of them that are huge and really the most famous people.
Oh, absolutely.
The three, my brother and Mickey and Jimmy. And there you go, all in one family, all from that little dumpy little town. I shouldn't say dumpy little town. But, I just didn't like it there very much. I always wanted to go to Memphis. And when my mama passed away, that's what I did. I went to Memphis.
Well, Memphis has changed too, though. I like going and having some dry rub ribs.
Well, they still have really good ribs there. They have really good barbecue. But what my husband and I love is we love to go to the cupboard and have some people call it soul food, but it's southern vegetables, the way they're cooked a certain way.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we miss the most about Memphis is the cupboard.
I miss, you know what? I live in Texas now in San Antonio, and the soul food here is not the same as the soul food in the South. No. It's Texas soul food.
We can't find it.
Love that meat and three. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it's called, a meat and three. I take a meat and two, Chip, if I could get it.
What's the most memorable gig you ever played with your brother?
The most memorable gig I ever played with my brother. Probably that one we did for all them soldiers. We did a gig one time, and it was the whole audience was soldiers who had just come back from, I think it was Vietnam. I'm not real sure. Yeah, it was Vietnam, I'm sure. And I was real young then. I was absolutely, I can see now, I didn't know it then, but I can see from the photographs now that I was absolutely gorgeous. And I was all dressed up and out on that stage, and they wouldn't hardly let my brother do anything.
They were there to see you, not Jerry Lee.
I was a big hit on that show. I'll never forget that one.
Well, you're still very gorgeous, so I'm sure that they would line up to see you again.
Well, I don't know about that. Well, the same guys probably would. I told somebody the other day, I said, I don't have to worry about anybody hitting on me because the ones that are on walkers and stuff. And I joked about that so much. So sure enough, a guy on a walker put his hand on my back while I was making a photograph with him. I said, well, I've made that joke and now it's actually happened.
Okay, so we're getting close to my time. What is the one question I didn't ask you that you wish I had have asked?
Darling, I can't think of anything. It's been a wonderful interview with you, and I've enjoyed it so much.
Well, is there something that we didn't talk about you want to share?
Yeah, well, we talked about my brother, and you talked a little bit about your sister. I was interested in hearing about your life, too, because you've had the same kind of life that I've had in a way. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, it's I love interviewing siblings like you and I, whose sibling is very famous. You know, it's because there is that relationship. Like I had no bearing on my sister's career, where if I interview a mother or a father, you know, there's a bearing because they have guided that child in their life. So you and I just we stand in the shadow and reach for the sunlight when we can.
And I feel like it's wonderful that I am who I am. I'm really fortunate that way because my brother said to me one time, he said, Linda, I think it's great that you're not jealous of me. He said, you know, everybody's jealous of me, but you're not. Why aren't you jealous of me? I said, well, Jerry, I just love you so much. And to me, you're the greatest. No, I'm never going to be jealous.
Well, he had a phenomenal career. Yours is still going. And, you know, I've enjoyed our time together, and I appreciate you taking the time today to be with us.
And let me tell you that I have really enjoyed meeting you, and you are a very nice-looking man. I can see that, and your sister is absolutely beautiful, and I've enjoyed seeing her on television many times.
Well, Linda, I'm going to look for you playing locally, and next time you're close by and I happen to have some free time, I'm going to come see you, and I'm going to walk up and shake hands and introduce myself and get a big hug.
Okay. Well, you'll have that opportunity soon because we're in San Antonio, and I think it's in May.
Okay. I'm going to look for you. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Linda Gail. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, man, that was so much fun. I loved having Linda Gail on, and, you know, brother, what a legend he is. I want to thank her for her time today. I want to thank you, the viewer, for listening, for watching. We wouldn't be able to have this podcast without you. If you are looking for a vacation anytime year-round, I suggest you check out my hometown area of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, North Myrtle Beach, Pawleys Island. Go to visitmyrtlebeach.com. That's visitmyrtlebeach.com. Check out all the restaurants, all the hotels, the beach, the golf courses. Plan your perfect beach vacation at visitmyrtlebeach.com. I want to thank Nelco Media for producing this. I want to thank Nelco Comics for the great location where we have our studio. Hey, if you're looking for an unusual comic or a specific comic, check out Nelco Media and Nelco Comics in San Antonio. I bet they probably have it. If you happen to be related to someone famous or know someone related to someone famous, we're always looking for guests. You can reach me at podcastrelativelyfamous@gmail.com. That's podcastrelativelyfamous@gmail.com. Let's chat about being a guest. We have some amazing people coming up, and go check out some of our past episodes too. We've had some amazing people. Thank you.
You've been listening to Relatively Famous with Chip White. Please like and subscribe to Relatively Famous with Chip White.